Hello, fans of Better Biz Academy, six-figure writing secrets, and your way to VA. In this week's free video, I'm talking specifically about what to do when you have a dispute with your VA over the number of hours that it took to do a job. When you're outsourcing things, you want to have confidence that the person handling the projects on your behalf is going to be honest about how they're doing the job and just be really clear and upfront with you about how long it actually took. Unfortunately, many people these days have been burned by a bad VA, so they're tempted to not outsource at all, or they're always going to go into the relationship with a lack of trust and being concerned that the VA is going to try to pull the wool over their eyes or bill for hours that they didn't actually work. One of the best ways to avoid this problem is to set clear parameters at the outset. Tell the VA how long you think the job is going to take and ask them at the beginning if they think that you're being unreasonable with that. That gives your virtual assistant the chance to respond and say, you're saying 2 hours, it's really looking more like 3. Is that okay for me to go ahead? That way you're on the same page to begin with. Estimating the hours up front can minimize the amount of concerns you have later on. Unfortunately, I know far too many people who've handed off a project expecting that it would take 1 or 2 hours and then received an invoice back for 10 hours or more of work, because people can spend different amounts of time on projects, and if they don't understand your parameters as well as your priorities, they can go way off the rails. Let me give you an example. Let's say you outsource the task of trying to have someone help you find the best podcast editing software. You could spend an hour on that task, or you could spend 5 hours on that task, and if your VA isn't exactly clear what you wanted them to do, there's a much better chance that there's going to be a communication breakdown, and you're both going to be frustrated. The VA wants to get paid for the work they did, but you're going to be not wanting to pay that invoice because you think they spent too long. So be clear at the outfront of the situation. However, if it's already happened, so you've already received this invoice that's way more than you thought, use this as a communication opportunity with the VA. Ask them to explain the breakdown of their hours. Hopefully they're tracking their hours. You can even use time tracking software, which has pros and cons. Some VAs don't want to do it, understandably so. And some people hiring VAs don't want to have to micromanage someone and make sure that the time tracking software is accurate. But check in with the VA. Like, why did this take so long? Why didn't you check in with me halfway through this project and say, hey, it's taking a whole lot more time than I thought? Communication is the biggest reason why relationships fall apart between VAs and VA clients. So make sure you're checking in over the course of the project. Make sure you have the parameters set at the beginning of the situation where you say, I think this should take between blah and blah. And if it goes more than that, please let me know. That makes it clear that you have expectations about how long it's going to take. Now, if the VA is adamant that they've already spent all this time and expect to be paid for it, that could very well be the end of the relationship. So from the perspective of the VA, be mindful that when you don't check in with your client and tell them that it's taking longer than they thought, you could lose this client completely. They may pay that invoice but never work with you again. So if there's been a communication breakdown and both sides are feeling some level of blame because there weren't very good instructions or there wasn't proper communication throughout the project, come up with another option if you can. See if you can reduce the number of the invoice, if the VA will credit a certain number of hours or time back to you, if there's some other exchange here that would make more sense and have everybody feeling mutually satisfied. There's always a learning curve at the outset of your business relationship, and I've got a list of 70 outsourcing tasks that you can pass off to somebody else to get more things off your plate and get off on the right foot with a new virtual assistant. You can find that at betterbizacademy.com.